Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be a part of your IC. And I'm sure ocular trauma plays a big role in our ophthalmology and as vitreoretinal surgeons. Imaging techniques, one of the most important topics in ocular trauma, because that's what you're going to initially use when you see a patient to diagnose what's happening inside the eye. There's no financial interest in this presentation. We know it's a leading cause of significant visual impairment. Almost over 2.4 million eye injuries occur every year, and a bilateral visual impairment in almost 2.3 million, and unilateral visual loss occurs in about 19 million people annually. That's like a large number. Eye injury is second only to cataracts as the most common cause of visual impairment, and more than 40,000 patients are annually left with significant visual impairment after eye trauma. One of every 20 patients that is seen by us in our OPD is because of an eye injury, and it's second only to cataract and strabismus as the leading cause of hospitalization. One of the 19 Kunet had come out with the Birmingham eye trauma terminology. One of BET satisfies all criteria for unambiguous standard terminologies by providing a clear definition of all injury types and placing each injury type within the framework of a comprehensive system. I'm not going to go into detail of each of this, but yes, injury is classically, put into two categories: closed globe and open globe. Closed globe, we all know, will be a contusion or a rupture or a lamellar laceration. In an open globe, you have a laceration which can be penetrating, perforating, or an intraocular foreign body. The ocular trauma score is a 77% chance to predict the final functional outcome. Appropriate counseling of the patient is very important. It contributes to making the correct triage and management decisions, prognosticates the outcome of the injury, easy to calculate, and has a major significance for the patient, the ophthalmologist, and the public health professional. So OTS is also extremely important for us. Let's come to some different closed globe injuries. We have injuries which are like vitreous-based disinsertion, vitreous hemorrhage, dialysis, tears, detachments, macular hole, tears in the iris, ciliary body, choroid retina, choroidal ruptures, Berlin's edema, commotio retinae. We all know subluxation and dislocation of the lens and optic nerve injuries. I'm just naming these injuries. In the open globe sections, we have scleral ruptures, prolapsed vitreous, hypotonic maculopathy, ciliocoroidal detachments, traumatic rhegmatogenous RD, giant retinal tear, tractional RD, IOFB, end-off, sympathetic ophthalmia, and chorioretinitis, clopidogrel. I'm coming to my main topic, which is imaging in ocular trauma, and which is one of the most important part of the management. It evaluates injury and strategy, as a follow-up tool, and also medical legally is extremely important. So you assess, you evaluate, and you address. Starting with a physical examination, we gently separate the eyelids and avoid pressure on the globe to see the injury, assess the visual acuity using naked inspection, and a slit lamp assessment of all your periocular structure, conjunctiva, cornea, sclera, pupil, and your indirect ophthalmoscopy. Imaging techniques, there are 5 important ones: the X-ray, which has been the gold standard with the Caldwell and Waters view, ultrasound biomicroscopy, B-scan, CT scans, and MRI. Let's come to, I'm going to skip this slide because I'll go ahead and discuss each methodology. X-ray is extremely important. It has been a gold standard. I'm sorry, yes. Original method of evaluation and detection of IOFB. Once upon a time, a limbal ring used to be used very commonly to localize foreign bodies, as we've all learned in our, MFL days. Study of orbital fractures, and now of medical necessity in some areas. Is the slide going ahead? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Sonal. Yes, Sonal.
Yes, okay. Sorry. I was actually losing it in the middle. Okay. X-ray orbital radiography is commonly performed on ophthalmic patients with a history of exposure to high velocity particles and a suspected or a clinically seen IOFB. It's useful in radiobic foreign bodies only and will not detect any radiolucent IOFB such as wood or glass. The standard foreign body X-ray series includes Waters view, Caldwell view, and lateral views. Plain X-ray films with Caldwell or Waters projections may demonstrate the presence but not the location of IOFB. So that's why the sweep localization technique involving frontal and lateral projections. A foreign body can be now seen in a globe with a bone-free examination by eye movement also. In case the foreign body is in an anterior segment, the object will rotate in the same direction as the eye, and it will move in an opposite direction, opposite to the eye if its location is in the posterior segment. This localization using metal locators, either placed on the eye with a contact lens or sutured to the limbus, may also be done, and the various locators that were used were Berman, Rupert Hall, and Bronson Turner. So we've done this in our MS Opthal days, and you classically see a teardrop sign in a blowout fracture, and you see classic an IOFP that is there in detected with the metal locator. And we remember how we sutured these rings and saw the foreign bodies in these cases with X-ray views. UBM is another important modality. It uses a 30 to 100 megahertz safe, effective, non-invasive method, best avoided in an open globe. It's valuable adjunct in the evaluation of small foreign bodies in the anterior segment and pars plana, and in evaluation of the lens and the angle. It's useful for finding non-metallic foreign bodies and determines the depth of a visible foreign body. You can also see other structures. You can see the angle recession. You can also see if there's any iododialysis or a cyclodialysis. You can see the location of your lens, whether the PCIOL is subluxated, it's in the AC. You see a presence of IFB. So UBM is a very, very important modality also for all of us when we are dealing with trauma. Ultrasound has been, again, a very important modality. It has been a very simpler gold standard modality, detecting multiple conditions like hyphema, traumatic cataracts, vitreous hemorrhage, showing you the spontaneous PVD, associated RD, traumatic end-off, detection and localization of intraocular foreign bodies, differentiation between serous and hemorrhagic choroidal detachments, and follow-up is extremely important with B-scan, especially when you have a trauma case where you want to intervene after a little time. After the primary repair, you continuously go on doing B scans, and the last B scan is exactly done before you're going in for surgery. A suspected posterior exit wound will also be picked up with associated incarceration of intraocular content. B scan can give us false negative results if there are small IFBs, or very large IFBs if they're located anteriorly, or if there's IFB of a wood or a vegetable matter. And a false positive obviously happens with air or gas bubbles, also in presence of IOL. It's a useful tool in localizing IOFP and to determine if the object is metallic. It can be performed carefully in case of an open globe injury. It's useful in determining the extent of the damage, presence of a retinal detachment, double perforation, as well as in detecting foreign bodies that are not seen on X-ray studies, and can give us an idea about the nature of the IOFP, round or spherical foreign body, intraocular glass, air or glass. So it is important to ascertain the nature of trauma, rules out the possibility of a foreign body, insists on plain radiographs, try to identify the normal structures, refrain from bold diagnosis, and I said a repeat USG, important before a scheduled surgery. B-scan, as we all know, it can pick up scleral ruptures or a peripheral retinal tear, choroidal detachments where you can see kissing choroidals in this case, or probably an undulating membrane, which is PVD with echoes in the vitreous cavity showing vitreous hemorrhage, or a taut membrane retinal detachment showing you either a closed funnel or an open funnel RD on B-scan. We can pick up a dislocated lens on a B-scan. We can also pick up intraocular foreign bodies, which are either in the vitreous cavities, mid-vitreous, sitting on the retina sometimes, and you can locate the foreign body in which segment it is. And it can also tell you in an orbital foreign body with increase in the shadowing in the orbital areas. So there are some limitations of the B-scan. It's not very much recommended in open globes. Sometimes surrounding edema and injury may cause difficulty in getting an optimal image. It's unreliable for detection of an orbital foreign body. There's poor demonstration of extraocular movements. There's limited view of optic nerve and retrobulbar structures, and poor detection of scleral ruptures also. There comes in the role of CT scan, which is considered as having advantage due to its ability of performing multiplanar reformations, evaluating intraorbital structures with imaging the bony orbit of fractures and herniations of orbital contents. Sensitivity of 45 to 65% is seen for IFB, less than 0.6, but almost of 100% for IFBs, which are more than 0.6 and much superior to USG. CT scan obviously can also have its own negativities by missing plastic or even metallic IOFBs, especially if they are too wide cuts. So you must advise 0.5 millimeter cuts when you're asking for a CT scan. There is a helical CT scan, which has a shorter examination time and is images superior to that of a conventional axial CT, has the ability to reconstruct coronal and sagittal images without scanning, and reduces motion artifacts and radiation, and has a high identification rate and very sensitive to glass foreign bodies. When you don't have a view of posterior segment, or you suspect a globe rupture or a laceration or an IFP in an open globe or orbital fractures, yes, you should advise a CT scan. So this is an axial CT and a helical CT, which shows the glass foreign body much better in comparison with the USG and the MRI. I'm going to have just a short 1 minute, so I'm going to go fast. A CT scan does have disadvantages because it's not readily available to us in pure ophthalmic setups. Intraocular structures may not be well imaged, can miss plastic IOFBs, and should be avoided in pregnancy. MRI is the last modality which is sensitive in detecting wooden IOFP, controversial in metallic IOFPs, a superior image quality of soft tissues. It can generate axial coronal sagittal views simultaneously and can detect the optic nerve damage, that is laceration, avulsion, or hematoma. Thus, disadvantages, yes, is expensive, accessibility is a problem, motion artifacts, claustrophobia, and less effective than CT. So coming to the last slide.
You to please wind it up since
yes,
our time
and the
is
last,
up and we have
on the last slide, the choice of investigation goes as orbital fracture, CT scan, X-ray, metallic IOFP, a helical CT, or an ultrasound, a UBM if it's open globe and closed globe, non-metallic foreign body, ultrasound, UBM, MRI, penetrating injury, CT scan, and acute orbital ocular injury, helical CT. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Muna Bende, Dr. Deepak Bhatt, and Dr. Supriya Dabir. Thank you so much for certain slides. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity.